Hey guys, Huzzy here bringing you another video. Welcome back to Patch Notes, and if you're wondering, wait, this has been a longer gap than normal. Yes, it has. So this has actually been a 3-week patch due to Riot's annual week break. So I don't know how many companies do it. Let me know the company if you work for. Do you guys have a week break in the middle of summer? The whole company goes on break and they basically just have a absolute skeleton staff. Probably most of them are even on call, so they're not working. And sounds pretty good because like you don't have to use your annual leave. You just get an extra week off in the middle of the year if you work for Riot. So that's kind of cool. But this is going to be a pretty decently sized patch ish. Again, the scroll bar. Like when I open patch notes, I'll give you a little guys a bit of a tip. If I kind of open this up over here, see the scroll bar over here on the right. I kind of sometimes determine how big a patch is going to be by how you can see this thing up here, how kind of big or small that is. That's sometimes how I like go, is it going to be a big patch? Is it going to be a small patch? So it's a rough guide and it looks to be a pretty big patch, but I have to say, I think it's a really big patch, mainly because we've got like a new game mode and stuff that they're probably going to explain. But also, yeah, there are a lot of changes. So first thing just to note, our nerfs are Belveth, Brand, Corki, Jax, Kindred, Lilia, Rumble, Tristana, and Zyra. I think a lot of those champions, yeah, that's good. A good list of nerfs there. All the champions there, I think, are pretty strong. The only one that I would say I haven't seen consistently a lot is Rumble. But, like, that's about it. And then we're getting buffs to Aphelios, Cho'Gath, Jace, Sion, Smolder, and Zed. Zed getting buffs, wow. And then adjustments to Aurelion Soul, Hecarim, Aurelia, Milio, and Nidalee. We're getting system changes to Absorb Life and Warmogs, so they're probably going to try and hurt the Warmogs rush build. And then, yeah, we're getting Battle Bunny and Battle Bat and all this, the battle skins, I guess, for a bunch of champions, including the new one, Aurora. Also worth knowing, so Swarm is coming out, so there's that. And this also makes me laugh a little bit. So, like, we want to give players more time to experience and celebrate Faker's legacy. No, they don't. They can rephrase this going, we didn't make as much money as we wanted to, so we're giving people more time. That's probably more accurate. So there's that. Swarm. So yeah, Swarm is the new mode. I can actually announce officially I am part of a League Partner Content Creator event. So some of you may remember a few months ago we did an event that I played Ionian Champions, and it was kind of the rank season start event. That it was about the cinematic that featured Ionia, Freljord, and Demacia, I think. And I chose Ionia. Again, it was a good event, but we all, well, not all of us, but a bunch of us had feedback about the event because it wasn't very fair. There was like streamer boosting going on and people like leaving kills for streamers, people only playing normal games. It kind of sucked if you were a ranked player. But Riot has taken that feedback on board, and obviously this is a PvE mode, but they're still kind of wanting to not like actively have boosting situations going on, that like people are only leaving things for the streamer. Like the whole point is you're supposed to be playing the game normally, but just having fun with an event. Riot, I will say, in the meetings that I had with them, they just straight up said to me, yeah, we didn't expect streamers to do that. And I was like, you've got prizes involved with no rules, people are going to do that. So it's good. There's going to be a rule set, and every content creator has to agree to the rule set before they begin, which is good. But anyway, so that will be beginning tomorrow at, I guess, I don't know what UTC is. What's UTC? UTC. Let me Google what UTC is. Doing this live, UTC. Oh, it's Coordinated Universal Time. Isn't that GMT? No? Right now... What? It's 7 in the morning. Wait, what? It's 7 in the morning UTC right now. It's currently... No, that must be wrong, no? I'm so confused. Anyway, whatever, it's coming out tomorrow. Aurora is the new champion. So I did play this champion a little bit. She felt a little bit weird to play, if I'm completely honest. Do I see a world that she's going to be meta-ish? Again, mages typically have kind of sucked for a long time, but hopefully with a new mage champion, they make mages better. Well, I should caveat saying that some mages are good, but they basically have to use burn builds. And the thing is, Aurora, I think, can, partially. Because, yeah, if you're trying to do a Luden's mage thing, yeah, they typically suck. But we'll see if she makes an appearance. I don't know if she's my type of champion, I will say that. Not sure, but we'll see. But let's get into the champion changes. So, Aphelios, Binding and Clip, Sentry, and Onslaught damage have all been increased. So just straight up, his gun damage on his purple gun, white gun, and red gun have all been increased. He has kind of fallen out. Oh, hello, Miss Maya. What have you got? He has kind of fallen out of favor in terms of the meta for a little while now. So I don't see it as a... Oh, she got a sock. Sorry, everybody. Oh, she's got... Okay, never mind. Bit of a distraction. But yeah, so he's getting buffs to 3 guns, so there's that. Aurelian Soul. Interesting. So what are they doing to him? Because he's been not bad recently, but base AD increased, better for auto attack last hits. Q initial mana cost increased, okay, to probably like trying to hurt just holding down the Q button a bit. Well, initial cost is increased, sustain mana cost adjusted, W base damage range increased. I like that because the base ability of his W to fly is awful, like it's tiny. E mana cost decreased, slowing logic adjusted, and R damage increased. Interesting. So 3 more base AD, Breath of Light. So the initial cost, ooh, hello, was 7.5. It's now 30, but then after paying the initial cost, additional sustained mana cost is triggered. So it was every 0.5 seconds, starting at 0.5 seconds in the channel. So every 0.25 seconds, starting 1.25 seconds into the channel. Okay. And then mana cost during W, the mana cost adjusted is unchanged while using Breath of Light in W. Okay, there's that. So basically, I don't know what the mana cost is. I presume it's just a ticking mana cost of whatever the initial is, but like I haven't made it clear because like before it used to be a 7.5 mana cost, and then starting at 0.5 seconds, it would then tick more mana. Well, now it's a 30 mana cost, but the mana use only then starts at 1.25 seconds. So it's not, it might be roughly about the same, but if you've got no mana, like very little mana, you now will, you can't use the Q where maybe before you could just tap it. But that's interesting. The range of his W, ooh, that's cool. Wow, that's a lot better. It was 1200 range plus 7.5 range per Stardust. He's now got 1500 range base. It's scaling with the actual ability and still getting 7.5 range per Stardust. That's a lot better. That's going to feel more like the Aurelian, kind of the old Aurelian that we knew, that he just flew. I like that. I think that is good. His E, so where this is a mana technically nerf, this seems to be a bit of a buff, kinda. Where it was 80 mana to 100, it's now 80 at all ranks. And then the movement speed debuff is non-champions are slowed to 0 movement speed. It's now lane minions and jungle monsters are slowed to 0 movement speed. Oh, so he like holds things still. Because 0 movement speed, you're not moving. You're stuck. Interesting. I wonder, like, non-champion, like, why non-champions are slowed? So this is technically a nerf, technically. The reason I say that is non-champions. Well, that like non-champions is Tibbers, and Daisy. Well, now they won't get slowed. Only lane minions and jungle monsters are slowed. Daisy won't get slowed. Tibbers won't get slowed. Maiden won't get slowed. So that technically is a nerf, kinda. And then his ultimate, an AP ratio increase is always nice for a late game hyper carry. Deals 125% of stars damage. That doesn't seem to have changed. The shockwave damage is going down though. So 100% he used to do a falling star damage. It's now 90%. So when he gets the empowered version of his ultimate, the shockwave that hits most of the map, that's getting a slight nerf. But you have to remember it's getting an AP ratio buff, so it probably evens out a little bit. Belveth, again, crazy champion. I will say, like, I think I've played Belveth. You know, I don't spam her or anything, but like, she's been a bit of a ELO inflating champion for a while. She's very easy to play. You know, a lot of people do say she is just a modern Master Yi, and she is in a lot of ways. So toning her down, I think, will be nice. You know, the thing when you tone down a more simple champion, they actually have to be better at the champion to do better. When you have a basic champion that is too strong, it's just overpowering, and there's nothing a lot you can do. But yeah, so attack range is going down by 25. That's significant for a melee champion. And then the bonus attack range when she's got her ultimate is also going down. So yeah, it's basically, well, her damage is still going to be insane. Her survivability with her E is still going to be insane. Her tempo is still going to be insane. But they're hopefully trying to tone down, okay, you actually have to be closer to things to hit them. Again, this is an opposite to what they did to Tryndamere ages ago. They gave Tryndamere range, and everyone was saying, don't do that. And that's probably still a mistake that they made. But she's still going to be strong, let's be honest, because they're not actually nerfing her damage whatsoever. But yeah. Brand, again, very popular. The thing, as I said earlier, is mages, because whenever sometimes some people say, oh, mages are fine, I was like, the burn mages are fine. The burst Ludens mages suck right now, and a lot of even the burst mages are having to start to build like Leandries and stuff because their items just suck. So it's annoying when Riot said this was going to be the year of the mage. It has definitely not been, like, at all. But anyway, so Brand E cooldown increased, damage decreased. So just a straight up nerf to his E. His E, obviously, one of the most frustrating. The reason why they're saying it's most frustrating, hilariously, his Q is a skill shot. His W is a skill shot. His E, he can just, like, click you, and boom, you get fired. And when he has double burn items, you're getting burned by his passive, you're getting burned by Leandries, you're getting burned by Blackfire. So, hilariously, him just pressing E on you does a lot of damage. So they're making that a little bit less oppressive by making it a longer cooldown, 1 second across all ranks. And then the magic damage of it is also going down by base. So he'll be a little bit less, but in essence, he'll be less good early, especially, which I'm fine with. Again, the one hilarious thing that, even though as someone that likes mages shouldn't be that good early game. They shouldn't be. Hilariously, some of the hyper carries, AD carries, shouldn't be good early, but they are. But yeah, I'm fine with this nerf. Like, that, he'll still be good. His damage will still be high. He still has great synergy with burn items, but he's just a bit too much at the moment. I think Lilia is there as well, but she's getting nerfed, I think, in this patch as well. Cho'Gath, Q base damage increased, E base damage increased. I mean, I think I've said it before when Cho'Gath's been in patch notes. You can change him if you want to, because the only thing with Cho'Gath, his kit is so bad. He's basically just, he's too old. You know, the thing that they need to do for Cho'Gath is a rework. It's that simple. They need to modernize the champion. He's too slow. He's too predictable. Good players don't lose the Cho'Gaths. And in essence, all he is a stat stick. And I know some Cho'Gath players will hate to be, like, associated, but he's similar to Master Yi in that aspect. He's similar to Tryndamere. These champions have very little skill expression. It's all about just raw stats. That's the whole champion. Cho'Gath is in that category. So if Cho'Gath is ever really strong, it's just because his stats are strong. It's not his kit, it's stats. Until you make him, like, give him a rework and actually modernize his kit and give him skill structure, I just don't see, well, I don't think he's ever going to be popular unless his stats are just simply broken. So his Rupture base damage is getting a nice buff. So starting at rank 2, nothing at rank 1. But yeah, 20 damage extra. That's not bad, like, at all. Again, most Cho'Gaths build and should be building tank. The bad Cho'Gath build AP. Like, the hilarious thing is full tank Cho'Gath has way more carry potential than AP Cho'Gath. Like, 100%. Because full tank Cho'Gath does decent damage. His R is still crazy. He does decent damage, and then he's nearly unkillable. AP Cho'Gath does maybe a bit more damage, but only a bit. And is so much easier to kill. Like, and if it's kind of like AP Malphite, if he misses that initial Q, he's kind of useless. Where Tank Cho'Gath isn't, because at least he's such a big distraction. And hey, look at me, try to kill me. Oh, you can't. But yeah, so his Vorpal Spikes, which is again pretty much in lane phase, his bread and butter, really. The magic damage of them is going up. Hilariously, a nerf at rank 1, but then a buff at rank 2. They're kind of just flattening it, and then it's actually a really big buff. Eventually, rank 4, it's a big buff, and then rank 5, 18 damage buff per Vorpal Spikes you're doing. That adds up. So yeah, that ain't bad. So look out for Cho'Gaths in lane phase, I guess. Corki. So again, Corki has been very oppressive, not the most skillful champion after his rework at all. Well, again, hilariously, Corki has never been that skillful, because before his rework, he was just like, haha, I hit you from a screen away with my rockets and you can't do anything about it. And oh, I got package, I'm going to use my package and then run away with the other W. Even Riot has said that they've... I can't remember which designer said it. It might have been August or someone like that. They actually dislike Corki, one of the most champions in the game, because it's really hard to balance him in terms of being fair and skillful for both sides. Because again, that's sometimes I think what people miss is a balanced champion is not just balanced to play; it's also to be balanced like when you're playing against it. It's that he's a problem. And obviously, AD carries have just been stupidly strong for a while, but, you know, the two that have kind of been above everyone else for a while are Tristana and Corki, which, again, both of them are getting nerfed. So, Corki has much lower win rate than his power level would suggest, and many mid laners have not moved over to Qmax, which outperforms Emax in the role. Pros who are building him correctly have identified him as a strong champion, and as a result, he's choking out the competition in an effort to increase his counterplay in lane. Because the problem is, and again, this is the thing that some people I think won't get, the thing with Corki and Tristana mid that have become a problem, you basically can't beat them. And I know people are like, huh? If they play average in lane phase and you're playing something typical mid lane, you can't beat them in lane. They are simply unbeatable in lane. In terms of just a straight up 1v1, no junglers are helping. It's just you as a typical, let's say a typical mage, you've got no chance beating them at all. And that's really oppressive, and it's, anti-fun if you don't want to play Tristana and Corki. And so much so that these champions just, in my day, like every game Tristana's getting banned, and most games Corki's getting banned. So, yeah. So they're recommending to max Q now. They're saying it's better. They're giving him a little bit of base health nerf, which obviously will make him slightly more squishy and vulnerable in lane. But that's not huge nerfs. So how much I think people have been annoyed by Corki in mid lane, especially the mage community, that's not really a nerf, let's be honest. So, yeah, he'll probably still be really, really strong. Fiddlesticks. Q is now blocked by abilities that block projectiles. Oh, wow. Yasuo's Wind Wall, Brom's E, and Samira's W will block it. Oh, I guess, yeah, he fires a crow at the target. Interesting. That's very interesting. Hecarim. Oh, this mess of a champion. Wait, is he actually getting buffs? Oh, God. Why would you buff this mess? So Hecarim has always been a monster in solo queue. Like, still. You still see Hecarim's absolutely take over games. His early spike of sheen is just mad. Oh, he honestly, and I'm not even kidding, is still fine in solo queue. Most people that play him seem to be one tricks. He could turn into a big ban this patch because he's so powerful in solo queue. I wouldn't be surprised if people start banning him. So health growth increased, W duration decreased though, but the healing is increased and the cooldown is decreased, and the E cooldown adjusted. So in this patch, we'll be reverting several changes that contribute to Hecarim's elite skew. Oh, so they're basically saying we want to... Right now, he's elite. Oh, okay. See, this is where the game does differ. I'm technically an elite play, being in, like, Master Odd. Maybe he's not good in Gold, but he's good in Master. Because, like, for me, I don't get why at all you would buff this champion. At all. But what they're saying is the changes that we did a while ago are good for elite players but bad for average players. So then they're kind of making him better for average play, which hopefully will tone him down for elite play again. So the health growth, he's getting tankier. His duration of W is going down, but the healing was 20%, but then halved to 10% for damage dealt by allies. It's 25%, so it's a buff, and still more healing of the damage dealt by allies. And then the cooldown is being flattened to 14 seconds all ranks. It's weird because, yeah, it's a buff and a nerf. I think overall that's probably a buff, though, to be honest. And then his E, 18 seconds all ranks, 20, 19, 18, 16. Oh, okay, yeah, that I don't. There's no nerf here, really. These are all buffs. I don't really know why. Okay, he's probably going to turn into a ban this patch. Aurelia, AD growth decreased, passive attack speed increased, R cooldown reduction for Q decreased. Interesting. So this is a list of changes that will shift some of her power from late game into early and mid game. I mean, she hasn't got a crazy amount of late game power, to be honest. Like, most Aurelias kind of fall off. But obviously, I know, like, ages ago, she was crazy early game, and they gave her better late game by taking away some early game. But I still wouldn't call this champion anywhere a late game champ. I would still call her an early to mid game champ. Her AD growth is going down, which obviously, yeah, that's a nerf for late game. The passive attack speed is going up, and it's getting better scaling. So it starts at 7.5. Before, it started at 7.5, and it wouldn't increase until you got to level 7, and it would go to 13.75. Well, now it's actually going to increase every single time you level up. So that is a buff every single level compared to the before, as because at maximum, level 13, you used to gain 20%. You now can gain 25%, but it goes until level 18. I would imagine around level 13, where you used to get 20%, you probably around level 13 get 20%. But it now continues where it didn't before. And then our ultimate, Blade Surge cooldown reduction, it's going down. So, yeah, I think that is if you accidentally muck up your Q while you're ulting, or while your ult is active, your Q kind of comes back on cooldown quicker in case you don't get a reset of it. So there's that. Jax, E cooldown increased early. So again, Jax is supposed to be a late game hyper carry, and Jaxes have just been straight up winning lanes, which he's not supposed to. Like, one of the things that, and I've said it in a recent video, that I think, I don't know if Riot's going to mention it, they probably won't. The mid game and early game skew of the game seems completely messed up. Like, really, it really seems bad that, like, you've got late game champions winning early game. And again, I'm a late game fan. Remember, I like playing late game champs that scale, but I also believe when it comes to game balance and design, and this is one thing I try to make myself clear, I have biases, we all do, but the thing that I want the most is League of Legends to be a good game. And my bias is late game champs over early game champs, but I right now think late game champs are too strong because they don't lose early game. Like, it's consistent that late game champs are starting to do better and better in the early, and early game champs a lot are just completely getting screwed because their early game champs are getting beat by late game champs by like level 6 or 7. What the hell's an early game champ gonna do? Like, before, when you used to play Jax into something like Renekton, you had to be like crazy passive. I'm right back at my tower. I'm giving you the first 10 levels, bud. I'll fight you later. Nowadays, you see Jax scrapping Renekton at level 2, 3, 4, 5. Like, he doesn't care. Like, when did that happen? It's weird, but yeah. So he is getting a nerf. It'll eventually flatten out at max rank, but at least it's a bit of an early nerf, which I do agree with. Mr. Jace, I love this champion. The only thing that will fix this champion is scaling. So Jace is struggling at the moment, I think. And while, again, early game champ. And while his less common melee form has gotten a lot more recent love, it's now time to up the damage of his primary skill, his ranged Q. Ooh, it is buffs, but it's not a lot. So it's a 5 damage buff per rank. And it's a 5% attack bonus AD ratio increase. Yeah, that's not enough, man. It's not enough. Again, as I said, literally, if you play Jace and you're literally against a Jax, game over. Like, unless you have a jungler early that gets you 1 to 2 kills ahead of your counterpart, then you can try and snowball. There's just no point playing Jace. Like, and I love this champ. He was the champ that helped me get Master my first ever time in Season 9. Just, it doesn't seem... You know, I play him like once every 6 months at the moment. Just be like, what does he feel like? Don't feel good. It does not feel good. So, yeah, I don't know. Kindred, bonus. Q bonus attack speed decreased, damage decreased. Yeah, very strong champion, obviously. Another AD carry. Like, again, AD carry class is clearly the strongest in the game and has been for a while. Again, you can make your suspicions about why most people, I'm not saying me, but most people seem to be because Freak is in charge of balance nowadays, and he's always been biased to AD carry. When he was a caster, everything. He used to main AD carry, he now mains support, but like, he's always been biased to AD carries. So to me, it's no, I will say now, to me, it's no surprise that like within 6 months or whatever of him taking over, AD carries are just crazy. You've got, like, I've had, even in today's stream, I have had Zeri in top lane. Like, people are actively playing AD carries in top, mid, and AD carry role. And even jungle for the AD carry junglers. Like, there's like 4 roles that people are playing AD carry in just because how crazy the class is right now. It's nuts. Anyway, her Q bonus attack speed is going down 5%, and the magic damage of it is going down in ratio. So it will be nerfs. She'll still be strong, but at least it's a bit of nerfs. Again, it's another thing that I mentioned, and I think they're starting to do it a little bit, is, again, another champion. So, like, look at this. So, Kindred doesn't quite have as much ability to win early skirmishes and invades. She should have no ability to win early skirmishes. Like, that's the point. She's a late-game hypercarry that is completely reliant on getting a lot of passive stacks to actually make her really strong. She shouldn't win any early skirmishes, and she has been. That's what I literally was talking about it just now, about late-game champions being too strong early. I prefer late-game champs, but they are way too strong early. It doesn't make any sense. But yeah. Lilia, so again, another one of the burn champions that has been very good recently. We obviously played her in Phil 2 a few days ago. I've never clicked with this champion, but we still carried that game and popped off. She is just very strong. So passive healing against successive champions reduced and E damage decreased. Okay. So her healing against champions, so it used to be 100% of the first, reduced to 33% for successive champions. So like 100% of healing, etc. And then any champion you're hitting after that, it's only 33%. It's now 100%. So if you're just in a 1v1, you're going to be healing 100% effective by items or whatever. I think even her passive gives a bit of healing. But now it's only 15% per other champion you're hitting. So that is a significant nerf. She'll be healing a lot less in terms of like a team fight situation. But that's not the biggest problem, I would say, with this champion at the moment. Her damage of her E is also going down. Once again, not probably the problem. I would say her Q and W are way more impactful than her E. Most Lilias, I think, miss their E's. Like, legit, it's the long-range ball ability. I would have maybe targeted the Q and the W a bit more, especially the Q, but oh well. So the damage is going down by base and also down 10%. So that is a significant nerf. And what Riot will argue is, oh, that's a big significant in terms of her, you know, overall strength allowance. That's a big nerf. The problem is, like, I don't think that affects her that much. Yes, it is a big reduction for one of her abilities, but it's kind of like the least useful one. Like, legit, most E's I see of Lilia miss. So it's kind of not really that big of an ability to nerf. Oh, well. Milio. So I like Milio. I think he's actually blended in really well to League of Legends. You know, Enchanters, they're not the best at the moment, but Milio is definitely up there in terms of that category. I think Milio and Renata for me stand out, and then obviously you're always going to have Lulu players as well. So passive damage decreased, Q cooldown decreased, range though has been increased. Now refund half of the mana cost when hitting an enemy. That's nice. W recast range increased. Oh, sorry about that, everybody. Queen Pleb just smashed a glass in the kitchen, so there was a big like Anyway, as I was saying, like, I like Milio, but let's continue. I think I was around here. So his W recast range has been increased. Now slower when following distant targets, though. Okay, that's interesting. And the E shield strength has been adjusted. So his passive fired up. Used to do 15% of allies AD, followed by 15 to 50 based on level. 20% of Milio's AP burn damage over 1.5 seconds. It's now 7, 11, 15 of allies AD, so it's not a straight 15%, so that's a worse thing for an early game. Eventually at level 9, it's what it used to be. Followed by 10 to 50, which is a nerf in the early game. It used to be 15 based on your level, and 20% on Milio's AP, burn over 1.5. So yeah, that's a nerf to early game Milio in terms of his damage and stuff like that. His Q is going less on cooldown though, so he can do it more often, and the range is going up, so that's nice. And then also, if you actually hit it, you actually get 50% mana cost. So that, to me, is trying to be a bit more skill expressive, that you're being rewarded for hitting kind of a more difficult spell to land. You know, it's not the fastest Q, like, it's not a fast skill shot, really, but you're being rewarded for hitting it. So I like that. Again, I love when they make the game around skill, believe it or not. You're being rewarded for hitting a skill shot. Cool. His W... recast, whoa! Recast range is going from 700 to 3,000. Jesus, that's long. But then the new thing is Cozy Campfire is slower when following targets that are more than 2,500 units from Milio. So you can recast it on one ally to another from 3,000 away, but if you're doing that, it's going to be really slow to get to them and then follow them around. But still, 2,500 is still a really large range. Again, just to say, the typical AD carry in League of Legends has an auto-attack range of about 575, roughly. So, like, that's a long range. That's kind of nuts. And then his E, the shield strength, woo, is going down by base, but up by AP by a lot. So you're being rewarded by buying a bit more AP with his shield. Very interesting. Okay. I kind of like what they've done to Milio. So, like, he is strong, there's no doubt, but they're kind of changing him a little bit. But kind of still keeping him on the strong side for sure, but you have to be good at him to actually make it work. That's what I like. That's good balance. That's cool. Nidalee. W damage decreased, E damage decreased, AD ratios increased. Nidalee is one of the hardest champs to play. Yeah. Which means her win rate below Master is always deflated. That said, she's too strong right now. So we're taking down some of her Cougar form damage. So yeah, this is like one of those examples. Let's look at her win rate right now. When people go, win rate matters. No, it doesn't. Because again, every champ is different depending like what rating you're in and all this stuff. So right now, her win rate in Emerald Plus, which is kind of their typical what people use when it comes to balance, is 50.1%. So, like, where people go, oh, that's pretty damn balanced. 50% is what you're aiming for. Well, for Nidalee, that's too strong. If we go down, if we go to all ranks, yeah, if I click all ranks, which includes high rating and low rating, obviously, it's 48%. But again, she's a really hard to play champion and pull off. Like, kind of, and is not as hard as Azir, but I always use the example, Azir was nerfed at a 44% win rate because he was crazy in Apex tiers of play. Nidalee, being as good as she is in high rating, when her win rate is so good in Emerald Plus. What's her win rate in Diamond Plus? So here we go. So in Emerald Plus, her win rate is 50.1%. Her win rate is in Diamond Plus is 51.1%. Her win rate in Diamond 2 Plus, which is more kind of Apex tier, is 51.4%. Her win rate in Master Plus is 51.6%. It only gets higher the higher rating you go. Grandmaster. Oh, wait, that was Master Plus. Master, it's 41.3. Grandmaster, it's 52.1. In Challenger, it's 52.2. Highest win rate is Challenger because this champion is hard to play, so better players can pull it off. So this is where I like to see that they do sometimes have to go, yeah, win rate isn't the be and end all. A champion that's hard to play shouldn't have a high win rate because, well, basically bad players should be dragging down their win rate a lot. But yeah, so magic damage, But then again, and then people, her win rate should be dragged down, even though the champion is strong, and that's where people get confused, going they're nerfing a champion with a negative win rate and low rating. Yes, 100%. That's what they should do when it comes to a champion with too much strength when you're actively good. Anyway, so her pounce magic damage. Ooh, interesting. So we're also interested to see how AD Nidalee may fare. That used to be an old school pick back in the day. Top lane Nidalee with Triforce. Maybe we'll have to try that in Phil too. But yeah, the magic damage is being toned down in base. AP ratio is staying the same though, but yeah, it's an early game nerf, or kind of a nerf on the ball. But she's getting 50% bonus AD though. And again, bonus AD just to make sure, like, oh, but isn't this good for early game, like her AD? Bonus AD. So bonus AD is only AD that you're purchasing. So if you're not buying any AD in the early game, it's not going to make any difference. And then her E, the magic damage of it once again is going down by 10 each rank, is getting a increase of 70% bonus AD, and is getting a 5% AP nerf. So it's little nerfs. They don't think this champion is oppressively overpowered, obviously. She still is very hard to play. So they're just kind of trimming a little bit of excess strength, but then giving other players an option for AD Nidalee in terms of giving her Cougar form some ratios, which I don't think that's kind of a bad thing. AD Nidalee, there will, by the way, already before this patch change and everything, there will be AD Nidalee players right now going, oh my god, it's my time. They'll exist. Rumble. Ooh, there's a lot of stuff here. Q base damage decreased, minion damage modifier adjusted, and minion last hitting logic improved. So Rumble has been a top performer in pro play for this entire split, so it's time to nudge him down where he has least counterplay, a skill that goes through minions, can't miss, and has no permanent resource cost. Yeah, his Q. Even if you stun him, the flamethrower continues, so like you can't just like go, oh, quickly stun him and it'll stop. We're hoping that his opponents feel like early laning phase is a lot more interactive instead of belonging to Rumble by default. So the Q, 125 early. It's now going to 80. Whoa, that's a really big nerf. Holy, okay. That's a very big nerf for early game. It nearly evens out though. So yeah, it's more, as they're saying, they don't want it just to be a straight up win for Rumble because he can just press Q and face you, which I kind of think is cool. The minion damage modifier used to do 55% up to 75%, depending on your rank. It's now 70%. So this will clear minions quicker. Basically, before, your Q only used to do 55% of damage to minions at rank 1. It's now going to do 70% of damage to minions at rank 1. But obviously, it used to be able to do 75% of maximum rank. So it is a nerf of the maximum, but it's technically better for his wave clear early. But obviously with how much damage it's doing less, it'll likely even out a little bit. It might even still be a nerf, to be honest. Anything of maximum health here? No, there's no change to either AP ratio or maximum health at all. It's just, yeah, a very big base damage. A 45 base damage nerf at rank 1. That's pretty damn big. Removed, so Flame Spitter no longer prevents minions from dying to other minions as they would die to one more tick of Flame Spitter. Okay, so Flame Spitter now deals 1 bonus tick of damage if it would kill a lane minion. So that kind of roughly similar to Malzahar E. So this will make it better to last hit minions with. So that's quite interesting. Sion. I know there's a meme going around with Sion that recently, obviously the most famous Sion player, the Baus FFS. And I will say, like, I like the guy. Like, he comes across as a nice person. He's a bit goofy. Obviously, he's a bit awkward, but he does actually seem like a nice person. You can obviously debate if he's had more of a positive or negative influence on League of Legends as a whole. And again, but at the same time, it's not really his fault. He worked out a way to play, and people have obviously tried to copycat it. And so much so that the way that he's basically tried to play the Bowsen's Law has really been nerfed. Like, death time has got changed. Plates are worth less damage. Sion obviously got nerfed quite a lot last season. So, like, he was basically the sole reason that Sion and the Bowsen's Law, it did really get hurt. You can't realistically do the inting playstyle very well anymore. But the kind of meme about it, he recently made a video and even streaming and saying, like, yeah, I'm just not playing Sion. he has his main account, the Battle of FS, a Scion account, struggling to maintain even Master, like to get in Master. He's struggling playing Scion to get in Master. And then his other account, he's over 1000 LP Challenger sometimes, not playing Scion. Yeah, and he's a Scion one trick. It's what he advertises himself as. Like, it does kind of show the state of Scion. Now, I will say, I think it shows the state of Scion in terms of his playstyle. Like, I think he does try to make, like, the inting playstyle still work. And if he adjusted to not an inting playstyle, he probably would have more success. That is worth saying. I've seen Scions in the last few months do completely fine. They just don't int. They don't give their opponent a lot of free gold. They kind of Riot kind of patched that playstyle because it is unhealthy. It's not skill based at all. You're purposely dying, giving a lot of gold away. Yeah, you're farming well, but that ain't skillful. Like it's just not. I'm happy they kind of stopped that playstyle being as good as it was. But anyway, but yeah, he said he basically can't play Scion, and then boom, Scion's getting nerfs. So like, read into that as you will. So his magic damage of his shield is staying the same base, but it used to be doing 10% of target's max HP, up to 14%. It's now starting at 14%, so that is a lot better for lane phase. So he's not a lane phase champion, but it'll be better for his lane phase at least. So there's that. Smolder, Q-based damage increased. Yeah, I like it because the thing with Smolder, obviously, he was an Essence Reaver, Sheen, really good interaction and everything, and obviously Essence Reaver got changed away from a Sheen Sheen item, so that did hurt Smolder a lot. The damage of it though is going up, so he's still very good in late game. It's just, again, hilariously, when I said, oh, late game champs are really good early, he's kind of the exception to that rule. He's not very good early. He still really needs to get to 225 dragon, whatever the hell stacks. And that takes a long time. And he has a bad lane phase. So a little buff to his Q, I think, is completely fine. Tristana. So these look like better nerfs. Why does she get more nerfs than Corki? They both should get a lot of nerfs. But anyway, so Tristana has completely overtaken the pro scene in mid lane. And is too strong in solo queue as well. Yep. I think a lot of people have gained rating playing Tristana over the last couple weeks. We're looking to mid lane skew her nerfs this patch by increasing mana costs of her abilities. She spams to push in mid lane. Yeah, a mage just can't match it. So her base mana is going up, and that may confuse people. But yeah, 250 to 300. But the reason it's going up, her Q, which obviously is a steroid of attack speed that got her just like wave clear so fast, used to cost no mana. It's now costing 50 mana. So that will be the major reason that her, she's gaining 50, but that 50 increase is just one Q, and she may want to use Q multiple times in a few minutes, So the attack speed is also going down significantly. There's a 15% attack speed nerf across every single rank. That's a significant nerf. And her rocket jump is also going, it's a buff to rocket jump, 50 mana. So practically most of her abilities, I guess, have 50 mana costs, but the big one is her Q is costing mana now, where it used to cost nothing. So many Tristanas, and I'm sure you have laned against them as well, they could stay in lane with 0 mana against a mage with also 0 mana. That would be advantage Tristana, because her auto attacks do all the damage in the world. Her wave clear obviously comes from her passive when it explodes when you last hit a minion. And her Q, when she had no mana, she could use as an attack speed steroid and then wave clear so quick because of her passive is doing AoE damage. Well, now she won't be able to stay in lane for free without mana because she won't be able to use her Q. She'll still be better than a mage with no mana, obviously, but won't be as good, which I guess is something. I think, again, obviously this is technically a damage nerf. Less attack speed is less attacks, but like, potentially some actual damage nerfs may have been needed. Maybe like a bit of her E damage or something. These, again, both Corki and Tristana really have been annoying in the last few weeks, and I don't think either of them have had kind of enough nerfs, but we'll see. Zed. I played a game of Zed. You'll be seeing that video in a few days, and I will say I had a very good game, which was great. So I know people miss my Zed, and I enjoyed playing him, so I might play a bit more of him because he's getting buffs. So Q damage increased and E cooldown reduction per enemy hit increase. Oh, that's nice. So he's been stuck in the shadows recently and not in a good way. So we're looking to give him a bit more of an edge in the early game by sharpening his shuriken and giving him more combo power with his E. So the damage of his shuriken is going up 10 per rank, and that's it. And then the E cooldown reduction per enemy hit goes from 2 to 3. Enemy champion hit, it's worth knowing. So that will, if I'm not mistaken, include shadow E's. So if someone's on you and you press E, that's your E. But if someone then is on your shadow, or you're having your shadow on top of yourself and you're hitting 2 E's, that will work. So it's nice. It's not a big buff though. I'm not kind of surprised it's not a big buff. It is worth saying, like, Riot designers have outwardly said they don't like Zed. Because he can be very oppressive. And I agree with that. I think he was very oppressive a few months ago when he could rush Ravenous Hydra, go teleport, and basically ignore people. That was bad, but yeah. Zyra, again, another burn jungler that's been a bit problematic. So passive plant damage adjusted, bonus damage to monsters decreased in the early game to lessen her clear. So her plant damage is 16 to 84 based on level, 18% AP. It's now 15 to 75. So yeah, less damage. But it's an AP ratio increase, so it'll eventually be okay. And then bonus damage to monsters is 60 to 100 based on level. It's 50 to 100 based on level. So eventually is the same, but it's a nerf to the early game. And the updated tooltip and cooldown display is more accurately aligned with speed spawn timers. There you go. So that's all the champions. Warmogs. So again, a lot of people are rushing Warmogs in top lane. Mundo apparently has been really overpowered in this last patch. I haven't seen many of them, but that really good top laner Aloy guy, he, I think, even had like a Mundo only account for like the last few weeks or months and was just showing how crazy Mundo is at the moment. But even, you know, I play support a bit and you rush Warmogs on Leona, you rush Warmogs on Nautilus or Poppy. It's crazy. Even Renata. So what they're doing, which I think is good, is support champions are purchasing Warmogs first and hitting the bonus health threshold through a combination of the support quest item and the scaling stat shard and sometimes overgrowth. What they're doing is increasing the threshold of the actual regen of Warmogs working from 1300 that a support can hit as they buy the item to 1500. So I'm going to be straight up. I don't know if it's going to make people not rush this item because it's so good to be able to like freely engage, have so much health and just survive and then not have to go back. Like, oh, I just regen back to full health. Let's go again. If it's the difference of buying like an extra ruby crystal, like does a ruby crystal, if I'm not mistaken, gives 180 health. But by the time you have to buy an extra ruby crystal with an extra level or two, you'll hit the 1500. So like, I don't know if it's actually going to change much. Maybe supports will buy this second item, maybe. But yeah. Runes, Absorb Life. So Absorb Life has just been a bit too strong recently. So healing was 2 to 20. Linear scaling is now 1 to 23 following base stat progression. So this is a nerf from levels 1 to 12 and a buffs from level 13 to 18. So yeah, an early game nerf that was giving too much healing in the early lane phase and just kind of making people just be able to heal a bit too much. Arena, don't really care about. I'm not sure, like, a bit of a question within this. Are you guys playing Arena? I'm not. I've kind of lost interest in it a bit. So there's that. ARAM, Lulu, Thresh, Viego, and Zeri stuff. Clash tournament. Ooh, okay. I did not actually know we had Clash. So I might try to play Clash one of the days this weekend. Did not know we had Clash. There's that. Mythic Shop rotation. I did see somewhere that... Oh, here you go. They have announced what the next ones are going to be. And I'm happy, even though I don't play it as much. I have seen somewhere, maybe it's the patch... Oh, wait, here. There you go. I've been waiting for this Shaco skin to get back into it. So on patch 1420, I'll finally be able to buy that Shaco skin on the Huzzy account. So I'm happy about that. Who knows? Maybe one day I'll get back into a Shaco feeling. So there's that. But that's cool. Quick play. Bug fixes. And then, yeah, the upcoming stuff. Xayah, Aurora, Seraphine, Rek'Sai, Belveth, and Misfortune. And there we go. So overall, I think it's a decent patch. I think a lot of the champs that needed nerfs have gotten nerfs. Whether they've taken them, whether they're enough, I'm not sure. Like the Belveth has had no actual real damage nerfs. Corki and Tristana have actual no damage nerfs. So I'm a bit on the fence if the nerfs are enough to actually change them being played every game by, you know, what it seems to be every game. But yeah, let me know what you think. If you guys enjoyed the patch notes, as always, I'll get it out literally in a few hours. So I'm recording this and I'll get it out in a few hours. If you appreciate that, please do throw a like on the video. Leave a comment. Comments do help. You know, let me know what you think of the patch. And if you don't have anything to say, just say hello, how you doing? But yeah, thank you guys so much. Like, comment, subscribe. See you guys next time. Peace. Call down!